All right, guys. So in a continuation of the left being outraged about Texas's new heartbeat law, right? That does not ban abortion, right? It does not ban abortion, okay? But you would think that it does, considering how outraged these people are, right? And AOC comes out here and does the AOC thing and starts, giving a whole word salad with woke terms and all this other stuff to try to attack the Texas governor and legislator over this. It's funny because you hear nothing from AOC in regards to women's rights in Afghanistan, right? And how Biden kind of screwed up all of that with his failed withdrawal, right? AOC said nothing about that. AOC had nothing to say. She wasn't on TV talking about women's rights and what's happening to women in that country, right? She isn't talking about that, even though, again, the U.S. seems to be responsible for, the country falling apart, right? Or at least put it this way, the Biden administration. But she had no smoke for Biden on that. No smoke. But she got all the smoke in the world for a bill that does not even ban abortion, right? And she wants to come up here and talk about women's rights all of a sudden, okay? So I am going to chime in on AOC in this conversation that she's having with Anderson Cooper about this situation and go from there.
When we talk about the law that was passed in Texas, we know that anti-choice bills are not about being pro-life. Because if they were about being pro-life, then the Republican Party would support, frankly, an agenda that helps guaranteed health care, that helps ensure that people who do give birth that don't have the...
Okay, so basically what she's saying is that, well, if the Republicans were actually about pro-life, they would support basically Bernie Sanders style universal health care for all. That's what she's saying. And the left loves rolling out this argument, right? They love saying, well, if you guys were really pro-life, you would be about our socialist programs. That's essentially what they're saying. But these same people like AOC have nothing to say when you have doctors out here denying people health care because of their vaccination status. AOC is silent as a church mouse on that issue. But I thought healthcare was a right. I thought healthcare was a right. I thought everybody deserved to get the proper healthcare no matter who they are, what their financial situation is, what their gender is, their sex is, all that. This is what AOC has been saying. Healthcare is a right. But she has nothing to say about healthcare being denied to those who are unvaccinated, which is a conversation that is being had in this country right now. All these healthcare is a right people they're silent. They ain't got nothing to say. They ain't got nothing to say on that. So really, healthcare is only a right for those who agree with us politically, right? Which is typical Democrats, right? We only want what we want for those who agree with us. Everybody else, they don't get that. That's AOC and the Democrats in a nutshell. So again, miss me with this whole healthcare is a right thing. Because obviously you don't think so for certain groups of people that don't agree with you politically. That's really what it comes down to.
Resources to care for a child can have that care for a child. So we know that none of this is about life.
Also on top of that, is the government caring for your child? Is that really a pro-life position, AOC? Really? Are you really trying to say government run everything is good for children? Right? Is that really what she's saying? She thinks that the state can take better care of kids than the actual parents or the free market. That's what she believes. She believes that the state can do everything. That the state has to take care of everybody and everyone and do everything for them, including wipe their butts. Right? From cradle to grave. Cradle to grave. She thinks that's a pro-life position. Show me a socialist, communist country where people were having great lives. Right? Show me one.
This is about supporting life. What this is about is controlling women's bodies and controlling people who are not cisgender men. This is about making sure that someone like me as a woman or any menstruating person in this...
AOC, first of all, nobody cares about trying to control you. Right? Y'all notice how every time AOC talks about this stuff, right? When she talked about the Capitol, it really had nothing to do with her. Really, to be quite honest with you, she, I understand why she felt like she was in danger, but there's an argument to be made she wasn't really in danger. AOC comes out, well, me. I was in danger. Me. Now with this heartbeat bill, when we're talking about this issue, me. The Republicans are trying to control me. They want to come after me. AOC is selfish. She claims to be selfless, right? She claims to be doing this for everybody else. But when you actually listen to her talk, everything she says is always me. And on top of that, she can't even get her terms straight. Tell me, which one is it, AOC? Right? Is it just women that can get pregnant? Right? Or is it birthing people? Which one is it? I don't know, because I can't tell. You in one sentence you say, oh, it's women. This is to hurt women. And in another sentence you say, well, this is about birthing people. This is about everybody, right? It's about controlling women's bodies, but it's about controlling birthing people's bodies too. I mean, which one is it? You tell me. Because you can sit and say the Republicans are trying to control women all you want. But I know damn sure that Democrats and the progressives like you are trying to control everybody. You're trying to control everybody. And that has been painfully obvious throughout the past year. Painfully obvious. So if you want to sit and talk about controlling people's bodies, controlling what people put in their bodies, controlling what people can do, what they can do with their lives, we can have that conversation. Because Democrats are all about authoritarian control. That's what they're all about.
This country cannot make decisions over their own body. And people like Governor Abbott and Mitch McConnell want to have more control over a woman's body than that woman or that person has over themselves. And what,
bro, I love how they keep trying to frame this thing as like just men want to have control over women. But first of all, if men wanted so much control over women, then why the hell did men give women the right to vote? Right? Why did men decide to come together when only basically men could vote? Right? When men had all the power to say, hey, you know what? Maybe women should be involved in the political process. Right? Why is it that you have a lot of men that are now pushing for women to be in leadership positions? Pushing for women to, I don't know, have opportunity. Right? Why do you have all that? If it's just about men controlling women, if men just want to control women so bad. Also, on top of that, is there not women in the Republican Party? There are women in the Republican Party. There are a ton of women that agree with this. And at the end of the day, to me, in my opinion, this really comes down to the people of Texas. If the people of Texas agree with this, again, they're not even abandoning abortion. If the people of Texas agree with it, then they just agree with it. And it's not even really a religious thing. And that's the thing that kind of kills me, is that at the end of the day, there are people who are not religious who don't necessarily agree with abortion. Right? Who think that it's wrong, who think that life begins at conception. So, I mean, again, I think that a lot of the framing around this conversation has really been, you know, it hasn't necessarily been good in terms of how conservatives have been framing it. But at the same time, it's also been disingenuous just from the left to just assume, well, it's about religion, right? That's why they keep trying to call people on the right the Christian Taliban. Mischaracterizing the position of Islam when it comes to this subject, by the way. Right? And it sounds pretty Islamophobic as well, too, to be quite honest with you. But see, left don't want to have that conversation, right? They can freely be racist and freely mischaracterize other people's religion. They can do all that. Nobody can criticize them for that. But if the right does something like that, if they say something like, oh, racist, Islamophobic, right? When they literally go out here and say the most racist, Islamophobic things I've ever seen in my life, right? But, yeah, like I said, I don't understand this argument about men wanting to control women's bodies. It's again, there's a ton of women who agree with this. So it's not just men. It's not just men.
What that shares what that shares with culture is that sexual assault is about the abuse of power, and sexual assault is about asserting control over another person.
Again, nobody wants to control you, AOC. Also, on top of that, let's address the R word, right? A situation in which a woman gets pregnant against her will. Look, I'm gonna be real. I honestly don't like the hard deadline, right? Where it's like, oh, 6 weeks after that, like, you can't have any exceptions. Like, obviously, I think that if a woman's life is in danger, like, yeah, I mean, I think there's some consideration to be made there. and if she was pregnant against her will, then yeah, some consideration should be made there. But at the same time, they do have 6 weeks. And you would think that if a woman was in a situation, unfortunate situation, where she was impregnated against her will, or she was forced, into a situation against her will, you would think that the first thing that she would do is to check, to see if she's pregnant. And you would think 6 weeks would be enough time to kind of figure that out. But again, like I said, with that being said, I still think that there should definitely be an exception, because I do understand that some people just don't know, right? They don't know, like, until after 6 weeks. So I'm kind of leaning on that part of it, because I don't think women should be forced to carry through a pregnancy if it is going to potentially put their life at danger, right? If there's a good chance they could die, or they were forced against their will to be pregnant, right? In a non-consensual activity. That's one thing I don't like about it, but at the same time, you still got 6 weeks, right? You still got 6 weeks. And for those people who done this consensually, right? Contraception. And you got 6 weeks.
And the ease.
Or you can go to another state, right? I mean, there's options there.
With which these men seek to do that to other people is atrocious. It is morally reprehensible, and they cannot even begin to understand the agonizing decisions that people have to make, including.
All right, so now she's talking about people, she can't figure out whether it's women, whether it's birthing people, whether it's, she can't figure out any of that. Only thing she knows is that, hey, this is bad. I don't like it. I'm going to go after the Republicans for this. So, like I said, man, I just feel like the left's continued freak out on this, guys, is really a distraction. The bill does not ban abortion. They're acting like it does. It doesn't. Okay? Roe v. Wade is still there. Right? Now, could this pave the way to get rid of Roe v. Wade? Maybe. Possibly. I'm not going to say it can't. But the outrage right now just seems to me, in my opinion, to be a distraction from the real issues of the Biden administration. And the liberal media has went whole hog on that, right? This is why I always tell you guys about Republicans. The best thing Republicans can do, for the most part, is to do nothing, right? To do nothing. Because what happens is that if they do anything, the liberal media is going to use that as a way to distract from what's going on with the Biden administration. Even though, I don't necessarily disagree, with this bill, even though I do disagree with some aspects of it, right? I don't disagree with the overall idea. I think it's fair. I think it's like a compromise, and I'm all about compromise, to be quite honest with you. But like I said, the left, they don't want to compromise. They don't understand middle grounds. They don't understand that, hey, look, if the people of Texas don't like this, if the women of Texas don't like this, if it's as bad as you guys claim, then they can just vote them out. They can just vote them out. They can vote against it and say, hey, you know what, this bill's too far. We're going to vote you guys out because of this, right? Ultimately, it comes down to the people of Texas decide what type of laws they want in their state. And obviously, this legislator is doing something that the people of Texas want. And if the people of Texas want it, then, hey, it is what it is. It is what it is. Supreme Court hasn't ruled on it yet. So until then, y'all can keep crying and complaining about it. But in my opinion, again, this is just a distraction from the failures of the Biden administration. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.